You're listening to This is Yoga Therapy. I'm your host, Michelle Lawrence, and I've had the opportunity to interview many of those who are making a difference at the intersections of yoga and health. And I'm here to share with you their stories and conversations. Thanks for listening. Welcome, everyone. It's really great to be here with you. This is a student and alumni panel that we do with Inner Peace Yoga Therapy. We've done quite a few of these through the years, and it's a really, I think, useful thing to share out what it's like to be a student in Inner Peace Yoga Therapy and what it's like to be a yoga therapist and hear from real world students and yoga therapists. Tonight, I'm going to introduce you to a few folks that are here. I'm going to introduce you to Emily Anderson. Emily, go ahead and wave for us. She lives in Pittsburgh and she's a student in our training, and she's going to share a bit about her perspective. I'm also going to introduce you to Rachel Kaplan. Go ahead and there you go, Rachel. Thank you. She lives in the Denver area. She's also a student in the program right now, but already doing amazing things. And then Erin Alexander as well is here. And Erin is a graduate, CIAYT graduate. That means she's a certified yoga therapist, having completed 800 hours of training. And she lives in Auburn, California, Grass Valley area, near Sacramento, nearby where we're going to have our next training. At least some of the modules of our next foundations training will be in partnership with the studio out there that Erin's affiliated with as well. So with that said, we're going to start by having Emily share. And I'd love for you to speak to, Emily, why did you choose Inner Peace for your training? I think there's about 70 accredited programs right now. So I'd love to know what drew you to us. And then I know you're already doing some work out there in your communities, even though you're still in the midst of your training. So tell us about it. How are you bringing your yoga therapy into the work that you are currently doing?
Great. Hi, folks. My name's Emily. Yes, I was telling Michelle before we started that I listened to podcast episodes of these alumni panels last year, like getting ready for training to start, because I was just really excited. So it's fun to be on this side of the conversation now. I was familiar with yoga therapy from just one of those like far off careers that they talk about vaguely in 200-hour YTTs. And I actually quit my corporate job in 2021 to become a self-employed yoga teacher. And I was teaching online with my own virtual classes, and then started offering one-on-ones for the first time, and was very quickly connecting with people in a therapeutic way, and recognized like I needed a lot more training. So I had people coming to me with recovery from surgeries, people with really limited mobility. I work primarily with folks who have chronic illnesses, chronic pain, and larger bodied clients. So people who really didn't feel comfortable in yoga studios and mainstream fitness classes. And I have a background in accessible yoga. So I knew that like it was time to continue education beyond like my accessible yoga certifications. And I happened to see the Inner Peace Yoga Therapy, I guess, advertisement, you would say, in Joseph LePage's newsletter, because I was a follower of his work for a long time. And that got me thinking, like, instead of doing a 300, I might as well maybe go all in, or at least start on the path where I could have the potential to move on to be a yoga therapist. So I did like look at every single program in the US. Like I read every single website for every single program. Like I'm very detail oriented. And I wound up coming back to Inner Peace. Like it was the first one I looked at, and I read every single one around the country that offered hybrid was kind of the thing I needed to do. I didn't want to do like doing like a 6-week intensive or something was not a good fit for me. So I came back around because there were a lot of things that Inner Peace has cultivated that really stood out to me. Diverse trainers was a really big part of it. That there were teachers of different races was really important to me. That there were South Asian teachers, trainers involved in the curriculum was really important to me. The comprehensiveness and frankly, Michelle, like the professionalism of the website, like that stuff matters. Like I could tell how much was invested in this program and invested in the students. And there was so much information to look at online. So those were all really big deciding factors. And I got to have a consult with Michelle before signing up, which was really great because I could kind of bring some of my questions forward. I was really interested in how community was fostered between the cohort. That was a really big part of my first training. And I knew that I really wanted to be a part of my next training because self-employment's really lonely. And I was really looking to have like community in the work that I do. So I was really happy to hear about that. And it always stood out to me, Michelle, that we talked about diverse perspectives and how I was very sensitive to fundamentalism. And it's not really, for me, it's not a good fit to be in a program where there's only one right way to do things, only one right lineage. I really wanted to have a robust, diverse, and like welcoming diversity and welcoming conversation and even discomfort sometimes as part of like my education. And I really feel like Inner Peace has provided that. I've been so pleasantly surprised by the depth of the conversations that we have with the trainers. They're not overlooking conversations about things like class or racism. It's very real. It's very real about how important like these healing modalities are in an intersectional way. And that was really important to me. So that has really just been such a big part of the education. And for me, I really went into this program thinking it would be good for me professionally, but it has made a very big impact for me personally. And that has been really special. The trainers are just really sensitive and they're just really welcoming and they just really want to see like a new generation of yoga therapists bloom. It doesn't feel like there's ego. Like there doesn't feel like there is people like wanting you to like, they don't want to be your guru, right? Like, I mean, they respect us all as students, but also like people who can have their own opinions, people who can have their own outlooks on how they use this work. So I'm really thankful for the program. And yeah, did so much research and still this like, came back to the very first program I looked at. And now I'm in Joseph's course right now. So it's so fun to be full circle with that. And then I am still working as a self-employed yoga teacher and now yoga therapist in training. And yoga therapy has become like the primary thing I'm doing now. I started marketing that I was going to be opening up yoga therapy services in December as I got close to finishing my 300 hour. And folks were just ready. Folks were really interested in this program. I think that while they don't know what yoga therapy is, they understand what mental health therapy is. They understand what yoga is. They understand what physical therapy is. And so helping them kind of like combine all those and consider it for, a way that they can improve their wellness, improve their lives has been really exciting. So seeing a group of yoga therapy clients individually, and then we also do group sessions together, which has been really fun. And we're doing a 12-week program. It's going to be finishing up in April. My first my own little cohort, especially on like body image, diet culture, self-compassion, and then adopting a personal practice at home, which has been really fun to just open people's eyes up that like a yoga personal practice does not mean 30 minutes of asana, 60 minutes of asana. I'm getting to teach things like mudras and pranayam and self-study, reflection, some light Ayurveda things, ways that they can improve their daily routines. And frankly, people have been responding to it incredibly positively. People tell me that they're moving with less pain, that they're treating themselves with more kindness, that they feel like they're like optimistic that they can continue to do this after our sessions end, which is what you really want, right? I want to see them feel really confident that they can continue to do this without someone there in the room with them. The Zoom room. I do all my stuff on Zoom. So it's been really exciting. And just the feedback that I'm getting from people, they'd never heard of yoga therapy before, but they're so glad they did it. And it really does feel like it is also a great way for me as a yoga teacher to take a lot of pressure off of like having to hustle and do a bunch of group classes and workshops and like bouncing all over the city, like doing things like it feels very stable. It feels like I can really focus on work that means a lot to me. Because I know if anyone else has ever tried to be like a self-employed yoga teacher, it can be like you're suddenly teaching 20 classes a week and you're exhausted and burnt out. And this is very different than that. So I'm loving it. I'm really enjoying it and looking forward to all the next things I get to learn.
Mm.
Thank you.
Oh, you just own it, Emily. It's so awesome to see all that you're doing. And I know you will continue to do too. And I think you said a couple really important things in there that I want to highlight. And that is the fact that a lot of people still don't know what yoga therapy is. And this is true. And at the same time, we don't have to sell yoga therapy. Like what we're offering is getting out of pain. What we're offering is a way to feel better and to optimize your health, right? So like I hear that in the way you position yourself. And I think that's really great for us all to remember. Like it doesn't have to be a hard push on yoga therapy, right? It's a path toward so many wonderful benefits, and being able to articulate that to the people that you want to speak to, that you want to connect with, your people, right? And identifying who they are and speaking to them in a way, and then holding that space for them in the way that you're already doing. It's great. And it does sound stable, and it does sound really fulfilling for you. And that's awesome. So, Erin, now that you've completed your certification, tell us what you're doing. And how has your training in inner peace and through inner peace helped you prepare for that?
Sure. So I think I'm having a little imposter syndrome because Emily, your share was so wonderful. So I'm just going to call myself out. Thank you, Emily. These are the wonderful people you get to meet in inner peace yoga therapy. My journey to yoga therapy was kind of a hesitant one, which I think might be some good context. So, I was in the middle of an eating disorder and lots of body image, diet issues when I found yoga. And interestingly enough, a yoga therapy studio with maybe Michelle, some of your colleagues, like the first round of yoga therapists. And my ego really wanted to be going to those fast-paced yoga classes, and then I'd kind of sneak in the yoga therapy classes, at night once in a while because I was really getting benefit from them. So what I wanted to share is I heard about Inner Peace's training coming to Chicago, and I was just going to sneak into Durga's weekend because I was really interested in the yoga of recovery work, because yoga had helped me so much with my own eating disorder healing. I was doing traditional psychotherapy and then yoga on the side and really curious. So I was like, oh, I'm just going to do Durga's weekend. I want to learn about that. And I just instantly fell in love with the program. It was my doorway into inner peace. What I appreciated was the really research-based explanation of how our brains and body works. I really like science and I like knowing science. So I was just so impressed with the science and just how well studied Durga was. And then also just so much compassion and a real dedication to the traditional yoga philosophy. So I was hooked that first weekend, and then I did the whole training. And then I said to Michelle, and I don't think I need to do the whole thing, but then let me just come to the level 2 in Colorado. So every time I just got exposed to more of the teachers and the teachings and the people that this program attracts, like people who are really of service and committed to their own healing and helping other people. It just kept drawing me in. And I've done a lot of my own personal healing and continue to with my recovery work through everything I've learned. So I think what's happened for me is, from experiencing so much of my own healing through yoga therapy and these teachers and all these experiences I've received from the program, you just get so lit up from your own healing. It's kind of like you've inhaled so much and you can't help but want to tell everybody about this amazing thing and exhale it all over the world. So that's I have a lot of passion for it. And right now, I currently own a small studio here in Auburn. This is a yurt I'm in right now, and it's on a 2.5-acre property. And so I see private clients here, and I also partner with a sister studio, where we'll be offering this next training. And I'll say that my training in yoga therapy, and I hope this doesn't sound like an ego thing, but it's really set me apart. When I teach, I love teaching not just the postures and the breathing techniques, but I love teaching people about how their brains and bodies work and normalizing anxiety, these topics that are kind of shadow topics in American culture. I just get to speak to them in my classes, and there's just this huge exhale. People feel so there's nothing wrong with me for having anxiety, and there's things I can do to help myself. And that is so fulfilling for me, to really feel like I have a lot of knowledge, not just in the technique, but in the science. And so I teach a weekly class also at the studio. I teach a weekly class here, and I think people sense the compassion and the wisdom that we receive as teachers from the program. And there's just a draw to it. People experience one or two classes and then they ask me, how can I work with you? I've just really received a lot of private clients just from showing up and teaching people they're normal and this is what your brain does and this is how yoga can help. And I think that's what the world needs right now. I also think I've seen a big movement. I have a lot of therapists who are interested in the work I'm doing because a lot of therapists that are only working in the realm of the mind know there's a body component. And I think since The Body Keeps the Score came out, there's a lot more understanding of somatics and trauma and the body. And so I have a lot of therapists knocking at my door and coming to my workshops and classes. Like, I want to know more about this. And there's just a lot of conversation about it right now. I think especially after the pandemic, when everyone hopefully got a therapist after that experience. And then people are seeing, oh, trauma actually is a body thing. And so I partner a lot with local therapists who feel really grateful to have my cards in their office. I think therapists are recognizing when they can't go any farther with a client and then they send them to me, and vice versa. I recognize where I can't go any farther with a client and I can send them to the therapist. So we're really creating here in Auburn a co-creative, I want to say like a hive of healing for people. And I am so grateful I get to be a part of that conversation. And I am also, like you said, Emily, like I love being in community. I love working with people. And I found just teaching a weekly yoga class was actually still kind of lonely because you go in and you go out and you're done. And having a career in yoga therapy is not like that. I'm working with therapists and clients and teaching workshop. Like, I feel like I'm really a part of a healing community and that my voice matters in that community. I'll say having the certification has given me a lot of doorways into opportunities. Like I got a grant to teach at the local women's shelter, and I got a grant to teach at the local high school. And I love working with non-traditional students. And so I really feel like, and I'll say the certification, I think, gives me the confidence to say I could do that. Maybe I probably could have done that before the certification, but the confidence that lives in me from all of my teachers has opened up a lot of doors. And people just love to hear that, when you introduce yourself. So it's just been such a lovely career of service. I feel like I get to give back what yoga has given me. And I have had people who said, I've been in therapy for 25 years and yoga therapy has opened a door that traditional therapy has never. I mean, it's just so satisfying to know you can help someone in such a real way with very complex PTSD and things that the Western world doesn't quite know exactly what to do with from a biological level. So let's see. I did want to say how inner peace has helped. I think I maybe covered it, but I just maybe could succinctly review that as well, which is really understanding the science, the exposure to such a variety of complications. I just love that about it. Like, there's not a client that walks in my door that I'm afraid I am not sure I'll be able to help you. So I see such a variety of clients. I'll give you an example. I had one woman who just had open heart surgery and she wants to get back on her yoga mat. And so I could really draw from Maria's teachings, functional yoga therapy, and I could help this person. And then I have other people with complex PTSD that have more mental health issues. And so the variety of teachers and the kinds of modalities they instruct you to kind of approach has really opened my career to a variety of people with a variety of needs. And that has been a real gift of inner peace, is training. And I really feel like, Michelle, you pull in the best of the best in each of these topics. So, and I'm really proud of that. It's given me a lot of pride in what I do because I've worked with people I really respect and I have all their books and I revisit them all the time. And one thing I love about yoga therapy is, we're looking at the 5 koshas. There's a format that doesn't change. And then we can look at it through the lens of grief. We can look at the 5 koshas through the lens of recovery. And that has really been cool. It's like one focus, but we can come at it from a variety of approaches. And inner peace is the diversity, which I think you mentioned, Emily, of the training has given me that confidence. Whereas before I did this training, I think someone would come to me and I'd be like, oh, I think I can help you. I'm not totally sure. I don't feel like that anymore. And I do turn people away if I feel like I can't. So it's just been such a lovely career and I just can't recommend it more, especially for my own personal healing and being in community with other yoga teachers and other people that really want to help the world. I mean, it's just inspiring to meet people out there doing this work in a variety of ways. I feel like I've received a lot of friends and a wide community of my own Sangha, and I'm so grateful I get to give it back, and I get paid to do it. And I get paid way better than I did when I was just a yoga teacher. I can charge people $150 for an hour of their time. And I feel really confident in that, and, sliding scale and all of that. And the last thing I'll share is, just like Emily was saying, I'm starting to work on my own course for people around eating disorder, body image issues based on my own healing through yoga. And so I really get to hone in on giving back my particular gift to the yoga world. So I hope that cover everything, Michelle?
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Erin. Yeah, you said so much there. And I think a big takeaway for me is how inspiring it is to be a yoga therapist. And, that shines through, and you get that by being in community with other people who are doing amazing things. Like, look at the three of you. You get to be inspired by your teachers who've been doing this for decades. I was just in Brazil last week with Joseph LePage, and he's one of our teachers now, as you've mentioned already, but just like he's been doing this for so long, and yet I'm always learning something new every time I sit in a class with him, whether it's online or in person. And last week was just a really amazing opportunity to be in that again. So, and then I get to be inspired by all of you. So the teachers, the students in the training, and then even just sitting back and thinking for a moment, like how many lives this is touching is really awe-inspiring. So I'm very grateful. And Rachel's a student in the program currently, but doing some pretty unique work. So share with us, Rachel, about the work that you're doing in your community and nonprofit setting and how you're integrating yoga therapy.
Yeah, hello. Yeah, as Michelle said, I'm Rachel. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm coming to you from Golden, Colorado. I'm part of an organization, a nonprofit called Guided by Humanity. And Guided by Humanity came to be in about 2016. And I joined on the team in about 2019, early 2019. And I came into GBH with already having several hundred hours of different trainings under my background. I was a paralegal in a disability law office. I did that for about 15 years, became very, very well acquainted with the systems and the ways that individuals need to navigate the system in order to sustain and to receive the support for themselves and for their families. And in that path, I really became aware just how many shortcomings there are and how the support that people end up getting is really only serving maybe one realm, maybe. So for my own mental health and physical health, I was always interested in yoga since Jane Fonda's video in 1996. So I really leaned into, okay, my next path will be to become a yoga teacher so that I can offer these practices that I think are inherently strengthening and welcome wholeness or welcome the realization of wholeness, no matter what's going on, because at any given moment, something's about to change. And as you know, this whole idea of our control is just an illusion. So what do you do, if you get better and then you get worse again and you still have yourself in your life? So anyway, that's how I came into yoga teacher training, and really just went in from a very physical practice of vinyasa and then started asking, what about other people? Like, what about everybody else? And even knowing that practice, that strong power of vinyasa wasn't going to be really sustainable for me all the time. So led me into the path of adaptive yoga and accessible yoga and yoga for amputees and yoga for end of life. And I really find that I am interested in supporting folks through the transitions of life. And so I also at this point have, a birth doula, training and end of life companion or doula training. So this is all my background. I also joined Guided by Humanity to offer those services through our organization. So we specialize in supporting folks who experience disabilities And we have some really wonderful signature programs. One of the programs that we created is a whole curriculum around adults and children who experience intellectual and developmental disabilities. So we have created a curriculum, we've created a program, we go out and teach this in schools, we teach it at other organizations. We work closely with a number of day programs in our state. And then we are also quite closely linked in with the different organizations that support folks and their families. So individuals who have disabilities and their caregivers. And through time, really working with the community and developing excellent rapport and a real knowledge of what's relevant to those folks, their families, and also understanding that our role is to work alongside a system. As much as we may be seeing that some systems are broken or some systems don't always work, the truth is that folks need to work within a system to access the support that they need to have a ability to thrive in their life. So we really think of ourselves as adjunct. We're working alongside what's taking place. And in order to do that well, we continue to want to learn from the new science that's coming out. We want to continue to hear new ideas, new methods, and then also, to stick with the integrity of our yoga practices, we want to hear and learn from teachers who have been doing this for a really long time and who are deeply, deeply rooted in why these practices have been going on for 6,000 years or so. So I really think that Inner Peace can offer that great balance. I know personally when our organization, I'll say the 3 of our leadership team is going through the yoga therapy program right now. And when we started looking at those teachers, some of them I had actually studied with on my own and was like, oh yeah, like I want to come back for more of that person. Molly Lennon Kenny is one. She's the end of life bedside yoga, incredible teacher. But then you can look on and see that the other staff and other teachers are very, very knowledgeable. And many of them have written books. You can go find these resources. And then fantastically, what they're putting out there is linked to evidence-based research and practices. So that appeals to me because we have a strong ethic of working alongside the system. And often that's the medical system. And so it gives us an opportunity to know that what we're offering up is not woo-woo. It is real. There is evidence about how this works. You name it, what layer of being you want to talk about. There's something there that we can look to in terms of research. But then also we're learning how to speak the language of the system, which is important to do if you want to help your clients. You have to learn how to communicate with the people who are also trying to help them so that you can be part of a team and you can approach it in that sort of a dynamic. That's really how you end up having success for your own clients. So Guided by Humanity is a nonprofit. We really work with grants quite a bit. That's something that we're working on all the time. And as both Erin and Emily shared, and Michelle, it really comes from looking to see what group do you want to help, and then go find who's already doing that work and see what they need. What kind of help could they use? I feel like that's how we continue to build these networks of partnership that end up being way more supportive of people than just like, I have an idea, I'm going to go out and do it on my own. Actually, there's people who are already here, have been working on it. And so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And I think the more authentic way to go about it is to go make friends with who's already there and see how we can work together. So we do work with grants. We reach out to organizations who care about the folks that we are supporting. Different, you name it, lots of different, like we have a relationship. We're going to be over at the Limb Preservation Foundation Symposium in April. We work closely with Colorado Respite Coalition. They support caregivers. We also work with, as I mentioned, some different schools and other organizations that support folks with intellectual and developmental disabilities. So between that grant, between looking for what kind of programs they want, and that's also speaking to what Erin and Emily offered, which hey, find an organization that wants to put this forward for their community, and you can be the one who offers that and then receive, payment compensation for that time. We definitely need to sustain. So we are looking for income streams from our work. So the organizations that can pay, we'll ask them to pay, and then they'll often offer it for free to their folks. But we also have a commitment to a donation-based community classes. All of our community classes on the schedule are pay what you can, because we never want to have someone not come because they can't pay. So that's always that present. And then I would say we've also, moved into having both virtual and in-person offerings to make it more accessible. And that's been really cool, to continue to work on that. As far as how our yoga therapy training has had an impact on the work that we have been doing, I would say very, very much. I told you already that I actually had 1,000+ hours of different yoga, formal yoga trainings. And I feel that this 300 that we've just been through added a layer of richness and depth to what was already present. It really sent me on a path to look further into the different resources that the teachers offered up, which was excellent. And then that idea of how can I be a little more organized in a clinical approach to what it is that I'm offering, so that you can have that goal setting with your client. You can work towards that goal, and then you can have points to stop, reflect, regroup, and decide again in a collaborative way. Are we going to go forward? Do we make some changes? And that seems to me to be a very powerful way to know that ethically and authentically you are a part of someone's healing journey. You can look at this documentation, and they can, and then because you've been applying it in this organized, methodical way, you can share it with their other folks who are working with them, and they can see the benefits. So I think that's really powerful, and it really has gone a long way to support. And I think that our folks feel it, and they're really interested in what else we can do to help them for that more one-on-one work, and also in some groups. So I'll stop there. It's a lot of words.
It's awesome, Rachel. I do want to highlight the fact that the work that you're doing with the Colorado Respite, is it Foundation or
Coalition?
Coalition? Yeah. You're in your practicum right now, which is part of the 800-hour program, and you're utilizing that actual live work as part of the practicum. So I think that's really cool too. Yeah.
And I'll just say a little more if you're curious about what Michelle's referring to. So we had a really cool module on stress and resilience with wonderful Dr. Shala, who has, of course, incredible yoga experience, but also she's an emergency room doctor. And so through that, there was so many wonderful practices offered around the nervous system. And as Erin's talking about, this idea of what's the science, what's going on here? How can we educate folks about what their body is doing and why, and then give them some tools to sort of have an impact and make change in what's happening. And that's so important for caregivers. So during our practicum, I reached out to Colorado Respite Coalition and said, hey, we're going to start this. Do you want to sponsor a caregivers support and yoga series? And they were like, yeah. Again, they know us, so they know we're serious and we're going to take care of people. And that has how it's been. So you directly using those tools, directly turning around and putting that back in to work. And I think that's one of the kickers about any kind of teaching. You can learn and learn and learn and learn, but once you're doing it, then you're really integrating what you've learned, and you're turning it into your own authentic teachings and really connecting.
Yeah, thanks for saying all that. And just what a bright light you all are up there in the Denver area in Colorado. And I'm just so thrilled that you and your two colleagues at Guided by Humanity are now Inner Peace students and carrying this work forward.
Oh, I'd love to say one more thing, Michelle.
Yeah, please.
We found, in our work, so again, we have adaptive yoga. We work with like different hospitals. UC Health out here, Craig Hospital is another really renowned hospital that works with people who've had spinal cord injuries. And a teacher who came to us to offer classes with our organization. So she does yoga for brain healing. Katie Cassidy completed the inner peace training and was like, it was really great. And so for us to have such respect for that hospital, knowing their high level of who they're bringing in, and for Katie to be our friend and to be like, this was good. This is really what tipped the scales for us to see other professionals who are benefiting from this program.
Thank you. Yeah. Shout out to Katie too and all that she's doing.
If you'd like to learn more about who we are and what we do, visit us at innerpeaceyogatherapy.com.